Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I give you a story titled, Am I the A-hole for not taking my ex-wife back after she left me for a alpha male? And a shout out to Vegas Mike for sending this story. And guys, this is about a husband, an ex-husband and father who's definitely having the last laugh after a year and a half of a very, very tough time being dumped, divorced, and all that, after his wife left him for a so-called alpha male. You're going to see in this story, guys, that this guy thought he was doing the right thing by helping his wife with her career by being a stay-at-home dad. And to no surprise, it turned into a giant mess. But ultimately, and it doesn't work out for the wife. And I'll be very going to go over here, guys, just to make the point, some very, very important lessons, aside from entertainment here. Number one, never, ever agree to that, guys. I've done so many stories over the years where these guys, a couple would follow the narrative that, hey, a guy could take the role, the traditional feminine role, as the caretaker, raising the kids, Mr. Mom, and everything will be okay. And the wife takes the role as the provider, the masculine role. And what happens every time in these stories is that he's taking on the feminine role, she's taking on the masculine role, and he turns her off, she turns him off, and there's cheating and problems, and they break up and divorce. Never do that. I can't stress that enough. Two, how a man should never, ever give up his purpose. Ever. Okay? Certainly not to make the traditional role being like the woman's role as his purpose. It's a terrible idea on multiple fronts. And three, what happens when you rush into a relationship without really getting to know someone before you get married? It's a disaster. And four, don't ever take back a cheater. And oh yeah, five, and they always come back. So lots of things in this story here. So it starts off, says here, I've been with my ex for 7 years, married for 5. It felt like love at first sight, and everything felt so natural when we met. There's no such thing as love at first sight. There's lust at first sight. Come on here. After about 2 years of dating, we decided to tie the knot. Smack! Way too soon. You need years to get to know each other. See what you're like through real life experiences and all that. Get to know each other's families, friends, what he's really like. Not soon after, we welcomed our baby boy. He's 4 years old now. He was a pandemic baby, so my wife ended up quitting her job while I continued working as a line cook and started doing Uber Eats on the side. Okay, you're doing whatever you had to do to provide. That's what a man does. Good for you. After things went back to normal, after the pandemic, my wife told me she doesn't want to be one of those women who lose their passion after settling down. So she went back to finish law school and take the bar. Of course, I wholeheartedly supported her, and we tried to make it work. Hey, so far I got no problem with this whole thing. She starts working as an attorney, you're working as a cook and moving up, and obviously you can get a sitter and daycare and all that type of thing, so you can both be happy. Unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. After she passed the bar, she immediately got hired at a firm downtown through the help of her friend, who we call her Dumbo, a 33-year-old female, and that is where the problem started. Oh yeah, another thing in this story, pay attention to your girl hangs out with. From the get-go, my wife began making very good money. Good enough that she told me to quit my job and take care of our son full-time, as she won't have the time. No. One, I'm not doing that, and two, don't dictate to me what I'm going to do. You see, she's making more money than him. And already. It's serious. It's always better the guy makes more money. A lot of people hate that I say that, disagree with me. Sure, there are exceptions out there, but by and large, it's not a good idea. I said, no, I love my job. Cooking was my passion, and I even worked my way up to a full-fledged... Okay, cooking was my passion, and I even worked my way to a full-fledged chef. Okay, he's already at chef level, which means a lot to this guy. My biggest regret in our marriage had to have been her talking me into leaving. But I did and became a stay-at-home dad. Smack! Never do that, guys. He knows this now. This is past him. A lot of guys buy into the narrative. His passion was cooking, being a chef. He loved it. And he threw it all away just to make her happy. And wait till you see how this thing plays out here. You can't ever do that, guys. They could have daycare. They could have sitters. They could find a way so both of them could be happy and all that. But watch how this turns out. Slowly, our marriage life began deteriorating and she started to pull away. Right there. Gee, I wonder why. He's taken on the feminine role, the traditional feminine role. She's taken on the more masculine role. She sees him giving up his passion. That's not attractive. Taking on the feminine role, and she's becoming probably more masculine. That ain't, do you think they're hooking up much? No. Well, she worked long hours and barely spent any time with us. She'd go out drinking to network with her work colleagues on weekends, sometimes even going out of town. At home, she'd always just be pissy with me. It's like her personality did a complete 180. Well, that's because you switched roles, and there was a 180. See, the narrative is BS. And so many women don't understand this, and a lot of them don't get why they feel the way they do. This wasn't the sweet, nurturing girl I fell in love with all those years ago. Our intimacy became almost non-existent. What'd I tell you? And I might add, she's getting someplace else. After going through therapy, I can now see that I am to blame as well. I should have communicated better and shared how I felt. Good he admits he is to blame, because there was some blame in this. I mean, she's the a-hole, but he went along with that crazy idea. But this didn't fall apart because he didn't, in my opinion, because he didn't share how he felt. It's because he gave up his passion, which is highly unattractive to a woman for a guy to do that, and do what she wanted and switch roles. It is what it is. Luckily, the highlight through all this was my son. Seeing my son grow and being there for him a lot of his firsts made everything feel like it'll be okay. Well, thank God he has his son, but I'm going to say what everybody's thinking. You know, how do you know it's his son? I hope to hell this is his son, because it's his joy. One day, she finally came up to me and asked for a divorce. Well, we saw that coming. I wasn't surprised. I felt everything was eventually going to lead up to this, but I still didn't want to give up. I asked if she's sure about this or if she wants to make it work. I recommended couples counseling or temporary separation. So he's trying to make it work, even though it's been gone a long time. She declined both of these offers and told me she found someone else. Shocker. And let's see, is this someone just like him? Hearing this shattered me. Her changing and us growing apart I can understand, but never once would I have thought that she would be the type of person to entertain other men. Oh man, I'm sorry it happened too, but this happens all the time. Guys, not my girl. Yeah, your girl. She told me that it's some partner in her law firm. He says, haha, when did my life become a Korean rom-com? She told me that he invited her out a couple times and showed her the life of luxury she deserves. Oh, for goodness sake. What she deserves. She's a married woman, has a kid. This guy is just telling her he wants to hear her to get laid. You want to talk about a cliche, a partner or a senior partner banging a young associate. Now, he's a scumbag for doing that, but sadly it happens. We argued for a bit, and she told me that he is twice the man as me. Talk about twisting the knife here. She is awful. She called me feminine for being a stay-at-home dad while his wife was working hard to bring home the money. I said, what? This was your idea. And what about me working 2 jobs during the pandemic? To her, those weren't real jobs. I was a delivery driver and a cook. Wow. Yeah, what'd I tell you? He did exactly what she said she wanted to do and pushed him. And he is like, I did what you wanted. And it turned her off. You're being feminine. Well, this is why I said the therapy, the whole not communicating enough and all that. No, it's because he gave up his passion. That's not masculine. An alpha male will never give up his passion to be a stay-at-home dad. Ever. He knows this now, but I got to say this to teach. And he took the feminine role, the traditional feminine roles, the Mr. Mom, stay at home, take care of the kids, cook, clean, all that. And she became like the man. It doesn't work. Now, there are obviously some people out there that it worked for them, but still, I've done countless versions of this story. She told me this new guy is an alpha male who knows a woman's needs and how to take care of her. She bragged about how tall and muscular he is. He has a real job, she said, and took her on weekend getaways. That she told me were once work-related. And here's the kicker. He's such a man, he doesn't want to make things official until me and her are separated. I almost laughed at how delusional my ex had become. So it is amazing to me just how crazy this is. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. It's not amazing to me because I've done this so long and I've been around the block. But it's amazing just in general. He did everything she said she wanted. And she's throwing it back in his face. Now, we're not done with the worst part yet. It gets worse to show you how effed up she is and evil. I asked her, what about our son? And she said that I can have him. I can have him? You're just throwing him away? He likes me better anyway, she said. I think this hurt the most. I couldn't believe she said about our own son, or her own son, throwing away like he's some object. For the first time, I couldn't recognize the person in front of me. I won't lie, I did let the anger get the best of me and say some hurtful things back. Well, she deserves it. Somebody needs to put her ass in her place. It's bad enough she's doing this to this guy and putting salt in the wound by he's an alpha male and more of a man than you and blah, blah, blah. But to abandon her son like this goes to show you when a woman, how a guy will give up everything for his family, his passion, his career, his job, and a woman will give up everything, her family, for what she wants. This guy. You think this guy's banging her, it gives a shit about her, is going to last? Well, we'll see. I could tell that she was taken aback by this, probably because I almost never got angry, and she turned around and left. After this, I cried my eyes out for 2 weeks, hoping she'd call and come back. Smack! I'm not smacking you for crying. He's hurt. He's heartbroken. Probably more because she ditched the kid, but he shouldn't want her back. Why would he want this back? Really? I don't know. I didn't love her anymore, but life without her felt so scary. Because it's not what you were used to. But believe me, life with her is pretty scary. You'll be all right, dude. The only thing that kept me going was my son. I knew I couldn't turn to the bottle or go down this dark path because of him. I managed to beg for my job back, and they rehired me for some weekends only, which is better than nothing. Well, you shouldn't be begging for your job. You shouldn't be begging, but the point is I'm glad you're doing what you had to do. He's going through hell. His whole life is turned upside down, but this is where his strength is coming about. He's doing what he has to do for his son, and frankly, his son kept him, as he said, from a dark place or the bottle or something like that. I spent the next months just putting my head down and working in silence. The divorce proceedings were moving quickly, and before I knew it, it was official. The worst part about this was I felt like I had no support system. On social media, everyone was praising her for being this strong, independent woman who broke free of some metaphoric shackles. My God. Making him out to be the bad guy. This is why the guy has to control the narrative. And obviously she was controlling it. He's the bad guy here. And she's so empowered and strong. Don't they know she had abandoned her child? These people are fucked up. It was like I was some villain holding her back. And not a single person messaged me on how I'm doing. Well, then you know they're not your friends. And thank God they didn't, because that is what made me want to try therapy, and I haven't looked back since. For all those that are unsure about therapy, I'm telling you it works. Well, I'm all for therapy if you have the right therapist, but he said the therapist may have to be like he wasn't communicating well enough or something like that. Unless the therapist may have meant communicating in terms of saying, hey, this is what I want. I'm not giving up my career and all that. But we know why things went south. One, she's an asshole, but also he caved, and that turns women off. And, well, I went through all that shit. Now we're on to the good stuff. Well, all you've been waiting for. Now, fast forward to this week. I received a phone call from an unknown number. And when I picked it up, it was my ex on the line, bawling her eyes out. They always come back. Gee, why do you think she's crying? Place your bets. She told me how her alpha male boyfriend found someone else, and she's too afraid to confront him because he's a partner in her law firm. Ha ha ha. Gee, you get together with a cheater and a scumbag, a person in a position of authority, banging a young associate, you think he's going to be true and blue forever? Too bad, honey. You abandoned me. Worse, you abandoned the kid. Fuck you. She finally explained her perspective and how everything led up to this point. Basically, my ex admittedly always been really pretty and a social butterfly. After she had her son and the pandemic hit, she felt ugly and insecure. Here we go with her excuses here. Even if I told her she was pretty, so I guess when she got her job, she got the validation, ding, 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 that she wanted. Of course, feeding into these delusions was Dumbo, her coworker, who recently had divorced her husband and poisoned my ex's thoughts with how I'm a failure of a man. This is why I pay attention to a girl hangs out with. So this coworker of hers poisoned her mind. She was going through a divorce, so she wanted a wing girl and tried and screwed up her situation. Well, I believe this coworker of hers definitely did her share of damage. But guess what? This guy's wife isn't stupid. She's obviously intelligent enough to go to law school, graduate law school, take the bar, have kids. So she's responsible for her actions here. This blame game. You can see trying to get out of the accountability. How my ex is way prettier than me. She went on, how my ex is way prettier than me, and she deserves someone of her standards. That's what her friend was saying. Apparently, I'm a beta male who rolls over and is stopping her from being free. She said a lot more specific stuff that I think I'll keep to myself. But it was definitely an eye-opening conversation. I shouldn't have pushed my ex away to be vulnerable enough to listen to Dumbo. This is what she was saying to him. But still, after hearing all this, I was just really disappointed more than anything. That she would be stupid enough to throw everything away on some whim and peer pressure. Right, but what's done is done. My ex asked me if we can try again. Well, remember earlier how she said she was calling him a beta male and she was leaving for an alpha male? Would an alpha male take her back? Hell no. Only a beta male will. So watch this. She told me how she misses me and how she took me and all I did for granted. Hey, asshole, do you miss your son? You know that guy that you gave birth to? He's a great little guy who hasn't had his mother, which is actually a good thing, because given who you are. For example, she said, I always made lunch in the morning and made sure she's up to date with her pills and so on. Her pills? Her crazy pills? She misses those little things, and I admit to telling her that I missed her too. Smack! No, you miss who you thought she was. Don't mess up, dude. And I know her son does for sure, but she did make her every decision herself, and what if things worked out with the other guy? Yeah, the only reason she's calling him is because things didn't work out with that guy. That is the only reason. It's not because she misses it. And by the way, she was listing these things that he does for her, not because of how this guy is. I'm not some consolation prize she can come running back to. She cried and told me that she wanted me back a week after she left, but was too prideful to call. No, I'm not buying that. Are you telling me for a year and a half that guy broke up with her a week after she left? No. It ended probably not long ago. I firmly told her no and hung up the phone. Awesome. Good for you, man. That is how an alpha handles the situation. She probably became more turned on by this. Since then, my phone has been blowing up from friends and family that I'm heartless, that my wife was vulnerable and taken advantage of, and instead of picking up the pieces, helping her, I'm leaving her to fend for herself. That message hurt the most. That is believable. These are the same people, I'm assuming, that were trashing him online and saying how she was so strong and independent and he held her back. Now he's the bad guy for not taking her back. She fully knew what she was doing. And these idiots are now trashing him. These people are scum. I hope like hell, he said friends and family, he cuts them off. They are not on his team. I respect your father a lot, so I heard him out. He wants me to come over for a resolution intervention this weekend and bring my son. That is a terrible idea. They just want a conversation to hear both sides and see if it really is resolvable. I'm attending, but I'm going to stay firm with my answer. No, that's a terrible idea, dude. But all the recent messages are making me really rethink my stance. I just want to make sure that I'm not the wrong person before I attend, so am I the a-hole. No! The only way you're the a-hole, bro, is that you gave up your career, your passion as a chef to make her happy. And guess what? It didn't make her happy. But you know what? You're not the first guy that made that mistake. It's like guys that give up their hobbies and their interests and all that to make the wife happy, and then she ain't happy. Right? Other than that, no. You absolutely went through hell. She threw you away like garbage. And worse yet, she threw away your son. Do you want to expose him to that again? You take her back, I guarantee you the same thing's going to happen again down the road. And your boy will be really messed up, as if he's not a little messed up already. All these friends and family that are saying, giving you a hard time, cut them out of your life. They are not on your team. Either A, they don't get it and don't understand human nature, or B, they do and they're just on her side, not yours. Either way, or both. Either way, they are not on your team. Cut them out. They're a cancer. And what do you do, cancer? You cut it out before it infects the whole thing and kills you. And as for the father-in-law, in my opinion, of course, you could say, father-in-law, you've always been good to me, on the basis the father-in-law is the one that's trashing him. Father-in-law, you've been good to me and I respect you, but this is something I cannot do. I'm a grown-ass man, and this was our business. We are now divorced, and I'm not going to go back to the situation. I'm not going to waste somebody's time. End of story. And if you respect me as well as I respect you, you'll respect my wishes, and you're not going to go around talking about me and defaming my name and defamation, because I can't imagine what they're going to say about him online. And that's that. And if all these people start trashing his name online, dragging his name through the mud, well, this guy has every right to hire an attorney for a cease and desist or a defamation suit. But no, you're not the a-hole, man. In fact, you made mistakes, as any guy can do, any young guy can do. But you know what? You've done a great job being strong for your boy. And all you'll do is bring back the same crap again if you take her back. Who knows? I mean, just in terms of, you once loved her, but that's obviously not who she really is. She showed you who she really is. But the biggest lesson in this whole story is how, my God, a man cannot give up his purpose, his goals, his grand ambitions, his passions, just to make the wife happy. And don't do this Mr. Mom crap, you know? Yes, there are some situations out there that work, but usually I think those situations where the guy takes the role as the Mr. Mom and the wife's the provider, I think naturally in those cases, both of them, the guy was more feminine and she's more masculine. They make it work, fine. But when you get two people that had traditional roles, he was a guy's guy and she was a girl's girl, and for whatever reason they switched it, when he's behaving in the feminine role and she's in the masculine role as the provider, guess what? It becomes a problem. And that was the big issue. But and the irony is, she's the one that told you she wanted all this, which goes to show you don't listen to them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know what they want. But she's an a-hole. You know, again, it's bad enough that she abandoned you and rubbed salt in the wound, but her leaving your boy like that and said, here, you can have him, I don't want him, for this scumbag, says everything about her character. Everything. That is unforgivable. I always encourage forgive so you can have peace, but no, that ain't forgivable. So, man, I'm glad you were strong. I'm glad you're having the last laugh here, but do not take her back. Do not do this intervention if you haven't done it already. And you're going to be okay. But my God, guys, lots to learn in this story. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you see an update to this story, let me know. I'm sure we're going to have one. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.